gentlemen, and thank you for watching the show. This is your top human rights organization review. I'm your host, Bryce Dolan. Now, according to Human Rights Watch, a 31-year-old Syrian refugee in Lebanon was allegedly detained and tortured in February 2016, apparently on suspicion of being gay. The man, identified only as Shadi for his protection, told Human Rights Watch that he had been detained by Lebanese military intelligence officers and tortured over a 5-day period at military intelligence, Ministry of Defense, military police, and internal security forces centers. Now, Human Rights Watch interviewed Shadi in Beirut back in March, but upon his request, waited to publish his story until he was safely resettled to Europe. On November 2nd and 3rd, Human Rights Watch sent letters to the Ministries of Defense and Interior, Military Intelligence, Military Police, and Internal Security Forces, detailing the torture allegations and calling for a full investigation. The Interior Ministry responded on December 13th, over a month since they sent their letters to them, saying that it had a complaints procedure but would not be able to pursue an investigation and penalize offending officers unless the victim filed a complaint in person. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but if I was Shadi and just detained earlier this year for 5 days straight and tortured for those 5 days, I don't think I'm going to have the courage to go into the same place and file a complaint. Now, torture is common in Lebanon's detention centers, but vulnerable people like Shadi, a gay Syrian refugee, are at particular risk, said Lama Faki, Deputy Middle East Director at Human Rights Watch. The routine abuse of detainees isn't going to stop until Lebanon puts an end to the culture of impunity surrounding its security forces. Shadi said that all interrogations at security branches focused on trying to elicit a confession that he was having sex with men, or to punish him for being gay. He said he was not allowed to contact his friends or a lawyer during his detention, and that he was never informed of the charges against him or brought before a judge. Human Rights Watch has long documented torture by Lebanon's security services and the failure of authorities to properly investigate allegations of abuse. The UN Committee Against Torture found in its 2014 report of an inquiry in Lebanon that torture in Lebanon is a pervasive practice that is routinely used by the armed forces and law enforcement agencies for the purpose of investigation, for securing confessions to be used in criminal proceedings, and in some cases, for punishing acts that the victim is believed to have committed. So, these are the three reasons in this UN Committee Against Torture report in 2014 that it found that they use torture for purposes of investigations, they use it to secure confessions in criminal proceedings, and in some cases, when they're not even sure if the person did it, they still use torture to get the confession out of the person, even if they haven't even been charged or if they didn't even do the crime. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is just absurd. In this article, during the interview with Human Rights Watch and Shadi describes what his time in that 5 day series of torturing, what it was like and what happened. Multiple times he was told to strip down naked and followed by beatings. At one time, he was told to strip naked and bend over facing the wall. After he did that, they said they were going to insert a rod up his rear end to see how often he had sex with men. Now, not only is that an illegitimate way to find evidence of having sex with men, but it's also a form of torture. Another form of torture that is extremely common in Lebanon is the beating of the soles of the feet. Now, that happened to Shadi during this time of torture. At one point, one of the officers knocked him on his back with his hands tied behind him, and his feet went up in the air. After he landed on his back, the officer continued to hit the bottoms of his feet with a stick. Now, like I said, that is a very common form of torture in Lebanon, when the victim's soles of their feet get whipped or hit with a switch. Another thing that happened to Shadi and is an extreme violation of human rights and a huge violation of international law, every time he would ask why he was being arrested or what charges were being brought against him, they would just hit him. They wouldn't say anything. They wouldn't say, you don't need to know, nothing. They would just hit him straight up. They took Shadi in only because the fact that they thought he was gay. The only reason they brought this guy in there was because they thought he was gay. Now, during one of the days of torture, Shadi remembers that one of the officers repeated that the way that his choices was not liked by God or society. It's not wanted by God or society. And that's what the officer kept screaming at him as he was torturing him. So, ladies and gentlemen, to help bring attention to these common practices of torture in Lebanon, which should be anything but common, we're going to help bring attention to this and with our hashtag today. Hashtag torture in Lebanon. I know it's a little long, torture in Lebanon, 2 really long words, but we need to draw attention to this, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're going to be tweeting out today, make sure you use that hashtag so we can help victims like Shadi, help bring these people who've done this to justice. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this was only a mere fraction of this article. You can find the entire interview on this same article if you just click on the link below in the description. Now, while you do that, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get notified every time a new video is posted. Give our Facebook pages a like and follow us on Twitter. But that does it for your top human rights organization review. Thank you for watching the show, ladies and gentlemen. I was your host, Bryce Dolan.